Hi there and welcome back. Now today we're going to tackle the problem many face if you're not a competent keyboard player. A useful and easy way to learn chords. Putting together orchestral music inevitably involves using chords. Now I've previously emphasized that if you're just starting out, you don't need to concern yourself with complicated chord structures. But learning a few simple chords will help you get started. You may on occasion see chords written out like this, or maybe even this. And you wonder, how do I translate that chord onto actual notes on the keyboard? Well, one of the simplest ways, and this works in every key, is to use the system I'm about to show you. But before I go any further, can I once again give a huge great thank you to all subscribers. Please do subscribe if you haven't done so already to be alerted when other videos are uploaded, and please do continue to keep your questions coming here on YouTube, or feel free to email me directly at musicdirectoronline@gmail.com. In the video breaking down an orchestral suite I did previously, take a look here if you didn't see that already, I do mention a way of identifying chords, major chords, minor chords and seventh chords. And I want to expand on this by including some slightly more varied chords. Now, this entire concept works by counting the number of semitones to the next note in the chord. What's a semitone, I can hear you ask? Well, if you're in the US, it's known more as a half step. Whichever name you want to give it, it's the next note up or down from the note you're currently playing, whether that's a white note or a black note. The chords we're going to cover will start out relatively straightforward. First of all will be the major chord. We'll then look at a minor chord. Let's not forget a seventh chord. We'll look at a major seventh chord. How cool is that? We'll then look at a diminished chord. We'll look at an augmented chord. And finally, we'll look at a suspended chord, or sometimes known as a suspended fourth. Which course wants to go to that. Okay, let's start relatively easy then with major chords, and even easier by choosing the chord of C. So we start with our C, and to find the major chord of C, we remember two numbers, 4 and 3, or 43 if you want, and we're going to count up from C. 4 semitones or half steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 3 half steps, 1, 2, 3, and we have the chord of C major. Now we can do that, of course, with any key whatsoever, any note. So let's take E flat. Where do we find E flat major? Apply the same principle, 4 and then 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, and we've got E flat major. Let's move now on to minor chords, and this time the two numbers you need to remember is 3 and 4, or 34. We'll start with let's start with E this time. We want to find E minor, so we would go 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and there we've found E minor. Let's do another minor chord. Let's go back to C this time. Remember, the two key numbers is 3 and 4 for minor chords. There's C, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. There is E minor. And incidentally, remember, although that's just the 3 notes, those notes can be in any position whatsoever on the keyboard. So it could be in that position, or it could be in that position, or it could be in that position, which are called inversions. That's the first inversion and that's the second inversion. Don't need to worry too much about that. Also, the note that goes at the bottom of the chord is usually known as the root or the tonic in this instance. They are all C minor. Let's now move on to seventh chords. And these are normally used as dominant sevenths. Now, I'll talk about the dominant seventh in another video, but they tend to be chords that want to go on to another chord. So let's take F, for instance. So the numbers we need to remember here are going to be 4, 3, 3, or 433. We'll start with F and we'll go 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we'll go 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we'll just add another 3. 1, 2, 3. And there we have F7. And add a bass note. That is F7. Let's do another seventh chord. This time let's take, I don't know, A flat. There's A flat to start with. Remember, we're going to apply 4, 3, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And there we have A flat 7. Now we move on to slightly more cool chords, as I like to call them, the major seventh. You don't need to know why it's called a major seventh rather than the seventh chord that we've just talked about. What you do need to know in this exercise is that the three numbers we need to remember is 4, 3 and 4. 434 if you want. Let's go back to C again. So C major seventh, apply 4, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there we have C major seventh, or an octave higher if you're reading the treble clef. There it is. Let's try it in another key. Let's take this time, let's get a bit more complicated. Let's take G flat. G flat major seventh. Again, the numbers we're looking for are 4, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next, we'll look at diminished chords. And for this particular exercise, you need to remember 33. That's all. Let's have a look at E flat. E flat diminished would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. E flat diminished. More an easy one to read. Let's take C diminished. Again, the numbers we want are 3 and 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. C diminished. Okay, now let's move on to augmented chords. Augmented chords, the two numbers we remember are 44, 4 and 4. You see, the same principle applies. So let's take A flat. Augmented would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So augmented A flat, 4 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Augmented A flat. And finally, in this exercise, we'll look at sus4 chords, or suspended fourth. Just as an explanation, the 4 relates to the fourth note in the scale of the key that you're in, not the fourth note that as we're playing in this particular exercise, but the two numbers we're going to need is going to be 5 and 2. Let's start relatively straightforward and simply by taking C again. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2, 1, 2. There is C suspended fourth. Because that note, the F, is the fourth note in the scale of C. 1, 2, 3, 4 in the scale of C. And of course, suspended chords usually want to what we call resolve down to the tonic chord. So really wants to go to. Okay, let's do one more of those, and this time we'll choose D flat, suspended fourth, the two numbers 5 and 2. There's your D flat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2. D flat, suspended fourth, which wants to go to. Of course, the more chords you learn, the more you'll need to become less reliant on using this particular system. But the next time you see this chord, by applying this method, you'll be able to play that chord on your keyboard. Now, I've just covered 7 chord types in this video. And as there are 12 notes in an octave, that's 7 times 12, by applying this method, you've just learnt 7 numbers, but you can create from those 7 numbers 84 chords. That's quite a feat to learn. Just by learning 7 numbers and applying those numbers to any of the 12 notes on your keyboard, you'll soon be able to play all 84 chords with relative ease. Happy chord finding. See you next time.